Joining me live now from Brisbane is Meg O'Neill, Chief Executive of Woodside, who this afternoon received the green light to extend the company's Northwest Shelf for another 4 decades. Meg, thanks so much for your time. What's your immediate reaction to the environmental decision handed down by Minister Murray Watt?
I'm delighted with the Minister's proposed decision. I'm delighted for our employees, all the men and women who keep gas flowing and working hard at our plants in Karratha as well as our platforms offshore. I'm delighted for the city of Karratha. Everybody who's been working on our facilities has been wondering about, well, what's going to happen to my job in 5 years? And so now we've got the certainty to be able to plan long term. I'm delighted for Western Australia, being able to continue to flow gas from Northwest Shelf into the domestic market to support those local customers, both homes and businesses, as well as being able to continue to export to our customers overseas and support them in meeting their needs for reliable, secure, affordable, and safe energy. So really, really pleased with the decision. And very pleased that the Minister kept true to his promise to give us a decision by the end of the month.
Yeah, that was great news there, getting the decision so quickly after the federal election. I understand you've now got about 10 days to respond. What are the next steps immediately for you at Woodside here?
Well, correct. So it is a proposed decision and there's a number of conditions with it. So my team was straight away on the phone with Department of Environment to understand what the conditions are. They relate to cultural heritage and air quality, so we need to understand what those are. Work with the department if there's any clarifications or adjustments needed. But I've challenged my team to review this and work this as quickly as possible so we can get back to the Minister so we can get the final affirmative decision and get on with business.
Yeah, and if that all goes ahead as expected or as hoped, what's then next in regards to the big untapped Browse gas field off the WA coast? Just explain how these two things are linked.
Look, I think it's first important to talk about why the Northwest Shelf life extension itself matters. And we've got gas in the Northwest Shelf fields that will flow until late in the 2030s. We've got additional work that we want to do. We want to drill some more wells. We want to make changes to our facility to try to squeeze as much gas out and get the maximum value from the investments that we've already made. So that's step one, is unleashing the project teams that have been working on those opportunities. Step two, of course, is looking at other resource owners' gas that we might process. And we're already processing gas there from the Pluto field. We'll be processing gas from the Waitsia field. But Browse, of course, is the big opportunity for us. The Browse fields, it's 3 gas fields. It's the biggest discovered undeveloped gas resource offshore Australia. It's got the opportunity to provide energy security to Western Australia in the 2030s and 40s. By flowing that gas, that's going to be so essential to back up renewables as we move towards a lower carbon energy system and move away from the coal-fired power stations that we use today. It's also going to allow us to provide reliable LNG to our customers in North Asia. And the Japanese market in particular is looking forward to receiving the rich LNG that would come from Browse as they think about their long-term energy security. So those are some of the implications for Browse.
Now, the Northwest Shelf extension, it has been criticised by environmental groups, particularly around carbon emissions. How are you going to be able to manage those successfully between now and 2070?
Look, I'll make 2 points on that front. First off, we've done a tremendous amount of work over the last few years within our base business on managing carbon emissions and setting up a culture where everybody thinks about the emissions impact of the decision that they're making. We've been making modifications to our trains and how we run our facilities to try to reduce our emissions every single day. So we've got that culture that's already embedded. With the state EPA's approval for Northwest Shelf life extension came a number of additional conditions around emissions management, and we're fully committed to implementing those conditions. With Browse, there's a number of things that we're looking at. CCS, for example, so carbon capture and sequestration, to deal with the CO2 that comes out of the ground when we flow the gas. Our intention is to capture that gas and sequester it in the same field from which it originates. And there's other modifications that we would look to make in the plant to reduce the emissions intensity. But the second point that I think is really important, Ed, is that LNG has an essential role to play in helping tackle the global challenge of climate change. And you look at the numbers and, for example, coal use continues to increase year in, year out. that is driving global emissions rises. And that's happening in our neighborhood. That's happening in China, that's happening in India, that's happening in Southeast Asia. So when we look forward at the world's energy mix of the future, we see an incredibly important role for LNG to help decarbonize the world and help tackle the global problem of climate change.
And just explain quickly the consultation process you've had with the traditional owners to help get this approval over the line.
Well, look, we've worked closely with the traditional owners near the Northwest Shelf for 40 years. And I'll be honest, we haven't always gotten it right, but over time we've grown, we've matured the relationship, and we have a very open and collaborative dialogue. We work closely to understand what's important to them and their community. We work to help them achieve those aspirations around strengthening cultural heritage, strengthening education, creating opportunities for employment and for small businesses to get a go. With respect to the rock art, we've worked very closely with the Murajuga Aboriginal Corporation, who are the custodians of the National Heritage listed area.
Meg, I'm sorry about this.
Things that we ought to be doing.
We've run out of time. Thanks very much for coming on the show. Thank you.